In this module, we will explore the environmental pillar of sustainability. We will be introducing perspectives from producers and consumers related to land, resources, plant and animal production. And finally, we will be discussing concerns related to resources, land, farm production practices, and constraints on the food system.
I know of no producer, farmer, who believes that they are not doing what's best for the land, their animals. There's some, but there may be an off one or two, but most of them believe what they are doing are good practices and that they're leaving their farm, if it's going to go to the next generation, in better shape than it has in the past. So there's emotions on both sides of that. And if you want to, and there's also emotions and controversy about, well, even among farmers, what are proper farming practices. And there's debates about what's good.
I think interesting questions are around these adoption practices, but my continued concern with how we approach those research questions is it continues to all be about the kind of individual farmer. Are you a risk taker? Do you have a stewardship ethic? Right? Or are you more kind of, in this kind of neoliberal bent? And so I think more important questions are about the external constraints that farmers are facing, right? Okay. Like, you may be the most experimental person in the world, but if there's only markets for corn and soybean, then that's what you do. Or, right, if government subsidies are over here, then you have every incentive to pursue this model. Or if you have a cash rent situation where you don't actually own the land, right, then you're being asked to make it more productive on behalf of someone else, right? So there's a real sense of worry around, especially in introducing new technology. Okay, so how much does this cost? If I introduce this onto land that's not mine, right, I'm spending money to make someone else's land better, potentially, right? You say it's going to be better.
From the producer or farmer's perspective, we can start to imagine the many decisions and influences that must be considered. Farmers have an inherent social responsibility to take care of land, animals, and crops. Generally speaking, they are intrinsically motivated to respect both the land and the environment. In the U.S., farmers have extrinsic incentives through government programs that encourage them to incorporate conservation practices and economic influence from the crop commodity program that are part of the U.S. Farm Bill. But what about consumers? What intrinsic and extrinsic motivation are consumers considering as it relates to the environment and the food system?
I think people really do now want to know more about the attributes of their food, how it was produced, what were the elements that were affected by this choice of a production system. Sustainable has become a really important word. Historically, organic was kind of a proxy for a lot of production systems, and that's changed a little bit. It's still very important in the consumer space, but the label competition, if you will, for GMO-free, gluten-free, frack-free, butterfly safe, salmon safe, the number of things you could describe on your label has really exploded. So I think the interest in understanding how food was produced, what the impacts were on other parts of the economy is at an all-time high.
In this module, we discussed the connections between people and planet. The people who are part of the food system are motivated and emotionally connected to food, land, and environment. And different people in the food system possess different motivations and goals, but each are interested in sustainability.